1 year ago, I met Olivia at a product launch event in Palo Alto. I was demoing a prototype for our AI ethics platform, super nerdy, I know, and she was the keynote speaker. CEO of this shiny startup called Vox and all over TechCrunch, running on buzzwords and seed money. She walked straight up to my booth, grinned, and said, "Tell me you're not just another code guy trying to save the world." I laughed. I shouldn't have. She wasn't flirting. That was a scouting question, and I failed. We started dating 2 weeks later. At first, it was wild. Fancy dinners, brainy debates. Her introducing me like I was her secret weapon. Jay here could rebuild the back end in half the time my CTO's been dragging his feet. I was flattered, stupidly. I didn't realize she was grooming me for more than just love. Last summer, she convinced me to join Voxen. Said she needed someone who understood both tech and integrity, lol. I left my job, steady pay benefits, a boss who actually liked me to work for her dream. Not even as CTO. Just a senior PM with a blurry title and insane hours. I told myself it was a power couple thing. We were building something together. Nah. She already had an offshore team rewriting my work, selling early access to partners I'd never heard of, and routing cash through crypto wallets under shell LLCs. I'd find out later, but by then it was too late. 6 months ago, we got engaged, or more accurately, she orchestrated it. Told me she booked a cabin in Big Sur for my birthday. Fancy dinner, ocean view, bottle of Glenlivet, real romantic. Except she handed me a wrapped box under the stars and said, "Say yes." I was so in love, at least with who I thought she was, I didn't even flinch. I said yes. We toasted. She posted a boomerang with the caption, "He said yes, #power duo." The next morning, she told me I should move into her place for tax reasons. I should have run then, but nah, I was still hypnotized. Last month, shit got weird. She'd started working later. Investor calls at 1 a.m. Private Slack channels I wasn't invited to despite leading the team. She changed her phone password, said it was a company policy update. Her laptop started traveling with her into the bathroom. What kind of founder checks GitHub commits while peeing? Then boom, HR files got encrypted. My name showed up on an internal email thread about performance inconsistencies. I asked her. She smiled and said, "Don't worry, babe. They're just covering bases for the Series B." Series B. We hadn't even finished the back-end roadmap. 2 weeks ago, I got an anonymous email from a former engineer. No name, just a message that said, "You're not paranoid. Check/log/archive/dev/IP_2897. She's laundering." I thought it was a joke, until I did check. And holy *T. There were logs time-stamped push requests that didn't align with anything I'd built. Hidden routing scripts, wallet addresses, transfer IDs in the millions. It was a shadow ops architecture inside my own codebase. I'd built the door, and she snuck in through it. I remember staring at my screen thinking, did she seriously just use me to build her money laundering tech? I didn't sleep that night. My chest felt like someone parked a Tesla on it. My hands were shaking, and not from caffeine. I spent the whole damn night backing up logs, duplicating messages, pulling down video calls. Slack DMs her voice memos from Team Syncs. Every time she said, "We're just optimizing for investor confidence," I found code that screamed fraud. Last week, I confronted her. She came home after a bored dinner smelling like champagne and someone else's cologne. I was sitting in her apartment, our apartment now, with my laptop open. I didn't yell, I didn't accuse, I just pressed play. One of her Zoom recordings, audio only, Olivia saying, "Jay's smart, but he's not strategic. We'll push him out post-Series B. Let him think he's building our future." She froze. I watched her eyes twitch. She didn't blink, just said, "You went through my files. Are you serious?" Not, "I'm sorry," not, "You've got it wrong," not even, "Let me explain." Nope, just that one sentence, like I'd broken her privacy. I laughed, loud. "You're pissed I caught you." "No," she snapped. "I'm pissed you think you're better than me." I said. "I just don't want to go to jail for your crimes." That's when she smiled. Dead ass. She didn't scream. She didn't throw a fit. Olivia just calmly walked over to the kitchen, poured herself a glass of wine, and said, "Well, I guess we're doing this now." No remorse, no shame, just strategy. I stood there waiting for the mask to crack. It didn't. She sipped her wine like it was just another boardroom setback. "You know what's funny, Jay," she said. "You had everything. Access, trust, a front row seat. And you chose to play whistleblower instead of partner." "You built this on fraud," I said. "I'm not going down with you." "I built this on vision," she shot back. "You think the other unicorns got there playing clean?" Then she walked to the balcony, pulled out her phone, and muttered, "You really don't get who you're messing with." I should have left right then. But I had this stupid idea that I needed closure. Or justice. Or maybe I just didn't want her to get the last word. Big mistake. Because the moment I stepped out to grab my go bag, yes, I packed one, because I knew this was going to blow up, 3 people buzzed up to the lobby downstairs. All founders, all her little cult of disruptors, the inner circle. First to walk in, Damien, her COO, guy who wore Patagonia vests like a second skin and once bragged about buying a crypto island. Then Marissa, her ex-roommate turned head of comms, who literally ran PR campaigns, shaming other women for not supporting female finance. And finally, Caleb, ex-Google, novel lawyer undercover with his smile, occult recruiter, and morals to match. They didn't say hi. Didn't even look surprised to see me. Just walked in, shut the door, and formed a triangle around me like they were prepping a hostile takeover. "We heard you've been poking around in code that doesn't belong to you," Daniel said. "He's been unstable lately," Marissa added. "Long hours, paranoia, lots of erratic behavior. We're concerned for your mental health." J. Caleb smiled. "We just want to make sure you're safe." "Oh, that's the angle? Gaslight me. Document me melting down. Paint me as the crazy guy with a vendetta." "You've got to be kidding," I said. "You're staging a fake wellness check." "We've already filed an internal complaint," Olivia chimed in. "Jay, I love you, but this is getting out of hand." That part, "I love you." That was the most violent line of the night. Because she meant it like a scalpel, sharp-controlled surgical. Not love, just leverage. And then came the cherry on top. Caleb pulled out a manila envelope, handed it to me with a rehearsed expression of concern, and said, "We're placing you on administrative leave while we evaluate these allegations. Your accounts have been frozen. Laptop access revoked. This is standard protocol." I opened the envelope. Photos. Printed screenshots of Slack messages edited once. Threads pulled out of context, spliced to look like I was sabotaging product timelines, threatening coworkers, even lashing out at Olivia. They were building a paper trail. I scanned the stack. One of the screenshots had a date from the future. The dumbasses forgot to update the timestamp. "You faked this," I said, tossing it back at them. "Be careful with that kind of accusation," Caleb warned. "Defamation's a serious offense." "So is wire fraud," I snapped. That was the first time I saw Olivia flinch. Just slightly, but it was there. "What's your play here?" J. Damien said. "You gonna tweet, 'Call the FBI'?" Maybe I said, or maybe I already did. That shut them up. I grabbed my bag and left. No shouting match, no mic drop, just walked out like a guy clocking out for the last time. Outside, I didn't go home. I went to my buddy Ramon's place across town, cybersecurity consultant, ex-NSA, paranoid as hell. Exactly the kind of guy you want in your corner when your psycho CEO ex-fiancé tries to frame you for everything. I dropped my phone in his microwave. Burner only from now on. We pulled up the backup drives I'd synced a week ago, log trails, finance spreadsheets, internal memos, voice memos, where Olivia literally said, "Make sure the funds cycle through the Caymans before you dump it into the Delaware Trust." And then the best part, footage. See, they thought I was dumb, but I'd set up webcam capture on Olivia's laptop months ago. Not for spying, just to track overheating issues. But the cam recorded whenever the laptop was opened. So I had video of them staging those fake Slack messages. Full-on screen recordings showing them copy-pasting threads, editing them in a sandbox account, and saving the outputs under my username. Ramon watched the footage, looked at me, and just said, "Bro, this is federal prison level stuff. You could take all of them down." "I'm not trying to go full Snowden," I said. I just want my name cleared. Yeah, well, you might get both. We sent it all. USB stick, printed logs, anonymized dump to the IRS and SEC tip lines. Full report with encryption keys to the DOJ's white-collar crime division. Then we waited. 3 days later, they retaliated. First, fake accounts popped up with my name on Reddit and Twitter. Posts accusing me of sexual harassment, threatening messages toward coworkers. A Medium article titled, "My Time with a Toxic Male in Tech." It was obviously fake, but it spread like wildfire. Then they called my parents. My mom called crying, asking what I'd done. My dad asked if I needed a lawyer. That was the worst part. He believed them, even for a second. Then came the LinkedIn hit piece, written by Marissa. Subtle passive-aggressive phrases like, "We must do better at spotting red flags early, even in those we trust." But I held. Ramon set up a digital fence around my name. We filed impersonation reports, DMCA takedowns, counterclaims with timestamps. And while they were busy slinging mud, federal subpoenas landed in their inboxes. Olivia's face was priceless. Wish I could have seen it live. But I did get to hear about it from an old dev at Voxen who flipped the moment the feds showed up at HQ. "They're freaking out," she whispered in the signal message. "Hard drive's gone." Caleb tried to flush a USB stick. Damien literally threw up. I smiled. Because I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was winning. The first real win didn't come from the FBI. It came from the dumbest mistake Olivia ever made. She tried to talk her way out of it. Not to the feds, not even to investors. Nope. She showed up at my parents' house. I'm serious. This woman, after setting me up, faking messages, framing me as a threat, decided the best way to get ahead of the fallout was to pull the "I'm worried about Jay" routine in person. She brought muffins. No, really, store-bought, shrink-wrapped, like she was visiting someone in the damn hospital. I wasn't there. I was still at Ramon's, laying low while the subpoenas played out. But my mom called me after. She said you were having a breakdown. My mom whispered like Olivia was still on the porch. She said you've been lashing out and sabotaging your career on purpose. I felt sick. Not because I cared about what Olivia said, but because my mom almost bought it. She knew something was wrong. She's not stupid, but Olivia was convincing. Calm, polished, the perfect startup darling. Until my dad opened the security app and saw Olivia on the front porch looking directly into the camera between her concerned daughter-in-law performance and muttering under her breath. "This is all gonna be fine. I just need them to stay quiet a few more weeks." Busted. They didn't let her inside. My dad told her to leave, and my mom forwarded the footage to me with zero hesitation. I sent it straight to the investigators. Cherry on top. That same night, the fallout began. Someone on Olivia's team leaked. Don't know who. Don't care. All I know is TechBeat got a hold of the DOJ filings, and the story exploded. Breaking Voxen under federal investigation for wire fraud, false financials, and internal sabotage. They didn't name me, but they did include quotes from a former senior team member with whistleblower status. Yeah, that was me. Comment section went wild. People from other companies chiming in. Ex-interns saying they were underpaid and forced to sign NDAs. Founders who had weird investor meetings with Voxen that never followed up. Engineers who recognized the crypto shell companies from other shady startups. I just sat back and watched the internet do what the internet does best: burn the pedestal. Olivia tried to spin it, of course. She posted this black and white Instagram story with some reflective quote about betrayal and resilience. She tagged nobody, but everyone knew. And then she went on Bloom, some podcast for female founders, and tried to act like the victim. "Women in power are always targeted," she said, "especially by insecure men who can't handle being outpaced." That one stung a little, because I was a guy working under a woman in power, and it was easy bait for the discourse. The internet split in half defending her, half dragging her. Until the audio dropped. Remember the Zoom logs? One of them got leaked to the Upload a Podcast I didn't even know Ramon sent stuff to. It was a clip of Olivia laughing, literally laughing, about how she planned to delay the Series B just long enough to cash out personally and let Voxen collapse. Let the team eat ashes, she said. I'll be in Tulum before the smoke clears. It went viral, 3.2 million views in 24 hours. Investors ghosted her overnight. She deactivated Twitter. The board resigned en masse. And Vox and gone. They froze assets, paused operations, and laid off everyone by email, cold as hell, not even a Zoom call. I felt horrible for the team. Most of them didn't know what she was pulling. They were just coders and ops folks grinding through 16-hour sprints while Olivia was throwing networking dinners with crypto bros. So I did the only thing I could. I wrote a thread. Not petty, not angry, just the truth. A year ago, I thought I was building something real with someone who saw me. Turned out, I was just part of the pitch deck. I didn't go public because I wanted revenge. I went public because people deserve better than lies wrapped in buzzwords. I don't know what happens next, but I know I'm not scared anymore. JM. That thread hit hard. Thousands of replies. People from other startups, burnt out devs, even ex-founders messaging me like, I didn't think I could come forward until I saw this. I wasn't a hero. I was just done being a prop in her scheme. But yeah, that was the turning point. Because Olivia, she snapped. 3 days later, she showed up at my gym. I don't know how she found out which one I'd been using a new account under a fake name, but there she was near the locker room like some kind of unhinged recruiter. She looked like hell. No makeup, eyes bloodshot, hair tied back like she'd just escaped a WeWork bunker. You think this is justice? She hissed. You think you get to walk away clean while I lose everything? You burned your whole company down, I said. You exposed me, she said. You ruined my life. You tried to erase mine. We were inches apart. And then she said, I should have finished it when I had the chance. Like some F*******ing villain in a CW drama. I didn't flinch, just held eye contact and said, yeah, you should have. Then I walked out. Didn't run, didn't look back. And for the first time since this whole mess started, I didn't feel scared, or angry, or broken. I felt clear. Like the fog had finally lifted. The feds took care of the rest. Olivia got charged with 3 counts conspiracy to commit wire fraud, evidence tampering, and malicious workplace retaliation. Caleb disbarred. Damian cooperated and got immunity. Marissa tried to flee to Costa Rica but got picked up at LAX, amateur hour. The plea deal they offered Olivia was brutal, 5 years minimum with a possible 10 if she fought it in court. She took it. Of course she did. Because at the end of the day, Olivia wasn't a revolutionary. She was a manipulator with a business card and a burner phone. Her legacy, a dead startup, a federal conviction, and a podcast quote that aged like milk. Mine. Still in progress. But at least I sleep now. In a bed I paid for. In a space I don't have to defend. With a career I'm rebuilding not from scratch but from something stronger. Myself. The weirdest part wasn't the trial, or the podcast fallout, or even Olivia's guilty plea. It was waking up the next day alone and not having someone to fight anymore. You'd think it'd feel like victory, like some movie ending where the hero walks into the sunset bruised but free. It didn't. It felt quiet. Like when a storm's finally over and the silence is so thick you forget what stillness sounds like. I moved out of Ramon's place and into this tiny sublet in Oakland. No furniture, just a mattress, my laptop, a folding chair, and this sad little plant I bought from the corner bodega because the guy looked at me like, you need something alive in your life. He wasn't wrong. I was burnt out. Couldn't look at code. Couldn't scroll Twitter without my chest tightening. Couldn't talk about startups without wanting to throw my phone into the bay. I was just empty. And pissed. Because Olivia didn't just mess up my career. She made me doubt my own damn instincts. Made me question how I could have been so blind, so naive, so easy to manipulate. And maybe the worst part? People kept reaching out like I was some kind of martyr. You're so brave. You gave us a voice. Thank you for standing up. Meanwhile, I couldn't even stand up from bed some mornings. Was I proud I exposed her? Yeah. Hell yeah. But I was also asterisk tired. The kind of tired sleep doesn't fix. About a month after the sentencing, I ran into this girl named Tia at a pop-up art market. No romantic vibes, nothing dramatic. She was working the booth next to my friends, selling hand-pulled prints of tech culture memes turned into sad girl poetry. I picked one up. It said, "He promised equity. I should have asked for therapy." We both laughed. She said, "Too real." I said, "Painfully." Turns out she used to work in fintech. Got pushed out after calling out sexual harassment in her team's Slack channel. No paper trail, no justice, just emails from HR like, "Let's all grow together." We ended up getting coffee. Then drinks. Then late night walks that turned into late night talks. No agenda, no pressure. Just two people comparing scars in the wreckage of what used to be ambition. Tia's the one who convinced me to start writing again. Not code. Words. "You've got receipts," she said, "but you've also got perspective, and people need that." So I started journaling. Nothing fancy, just Google Docs filled with half-finished thoughts, and a whole lot of WTF was I thinking paragraphs. Then I wrote a piece called Startup Stockholm Syndrome. Didn't think anyone would read it. Posted it under a fake Medium handle. No name, no backstory, just the raw story of how founders manipulate loyalty like a weapon. How family culture in startups is just a cult with stock options. It went viral. 100K reads in a week. My inbox flooded, people saying, "I thought it was just me. I stayed at a company way too long because I thought they cared." This hit harder than my exit interview. Suddenly, I wasn't just a guy who got screwed. I was a guy who understood. Not in a preachy TED Talk kind of way. In a "let me sit next to you in the mess and hand you a cup of coffee" kind of way. Around that time, Ramon hit me up with a weird idea. "You ever think about building something for real?" he said. Like another startup, I asked, already nauseous. No, like a co-op, something anti-startup, something that helps devs and designers bounce back without selling their souls. Honestly, I laughed, but it stuck with me. Because I kept thinking about the people who emailed me after that article. The ones who were scared to take legal action. The ones who were rebuilding from scratch after being gaslit into silence. The ones who got told, "It's not personal, it's just business," right before being discarded like old coffee mugs in a Series A purge. What if we could build a space for them? Not a company. A collective. Transparent pay, no equity smoke and mirrors. Just projects, contracts, mutual respect, and receipts. We called it Null. Like null expectations, null founders. Null bulls asterisk. The logo was a trash can with a crown on it. It started as a Slack group, then a shared workspace in West Oakland, then a co-op platform connecting ex-startup workers with ethical clients. No recruiters, no buzzwords, no fake mission statements. Just people getting paid to do what they're good at without being guilt-tripped into 80-hour weeks and ping-pong table trauma. Meanwhile, Olivia. She disappeared. No posts, no interviews, no statements. Just this eerie silence like she never existed. Until someone sent me a screenshot. An old Voxen engineer had found her on some anonymous freelance site doing ghostwriting work under a fake name. One of the bios read, "I help founders tell their origin stories with clarity and passion." I nearly spit out my drink. Karma isn't always a wrecking ball. Sometimes it's a slow, humiliating slide into obscurity. Sometimes the girl who once promised you the world and a wallet ends up writing fake pitches for $200 a pop from a coffee shop that doesn't even offer oat milk. And sometimes that's enough. It's been 8 months. I'm not angry anymore. Still a little bitter. Still not touching VC-funded anything. But I'm not waiting for revenge to finish the job. I'm building. Not to prove something. Just because I can. Tia and I still talk. She comes by the co-op sometimes. Helps with vendor contracts. Brings bagels nobody asked for. Last week she said, "You know, I don't think you needed to win. I think you just needed to get out alive." She's right. Surviving was the win. Everything after. That's just bonus. It took me a while to call my sister back. She'd been texting every couple weeks since the whole thing with Olivia blew up, but I kept brushing it off. Just checking in. Heard about the article, damn. Mom says hi. I'd start typing something, stare at the screen, delete it. Rinse, repeat. I wasn't ready. Not because of her, she's great, but because I didn't know how to talk to family without feeling like a case file. Everyone tiptoed around me like I'd been through a natural disaster, and they didn't know if it was too soon to joke again. Then one night I'm walking back from the co-op and I see this golden retriever peeing directly on a mural of Elon Musk someone painted on a power box. Something about that stupid dog just broke me. I laughed so hard I had to sit down on the curb. I pulled out my phone and finally sent her a text. Hey, you around this weekend thinking about coming home? She wrote back in all caps. Yes, bring laundry and prepare to be fed. So yeah, I went home. Just for a weekend. Enough to reset. It's a 2-hour drive, and I spent most of it flipping between indie rock playlists and weird silence. Like I wanted background noise, but couldn't handle actual words yet. I hadn't been back since the trial. Their house looked exactly the same: worn porch wind chimes, the welcome mat that says, no soliciting unless you have tacos. But everything felt older, smaller, like the house hadn't changed, but I had. My dad opened the door before I even knocked. Didn't say anything. Just pulled me into one of those awkward dad-style hugs, firm and brief, with a hard pat on the back like he was resetting a vending machine. My mom cried, obviously. She always does. But she didn't ask a million questions. Just handed me a sandwich and sat next to me on the couch like we were watching the weather together. And maybe that was the most healing thing about it. Nobody tried to fix me. They just let me be. Later that night, I was in the garage looking through boxes of my old crap. Not for any real reason, just felt like grounding myself in something. Found my college laptop. Dead battery, stickers all over it, GitHub Kata move fast, and break things quote that aged like spoiled milk, some inside joke from my first startup job. I just sat there holding it, thinking about the kid I used to be. The one who thought working 80 hours a week made him noble. The one who thought disruption meant saving the world, not wrecking people for profit. And the one who, fell for someone like Olivia because she made him feel seen, even if it was just a projection. I wasn't mad at that kid anymore. He didn't know better. But I do now. My sister came out to the garage with a beer. She plopped down on an old beanbag and said, You know, Mom Googled your ex every week for 3 months straight, right? I figured, I said. She leave Yelp reviews under fake names? No. But she did try to send a copy of your article to the high school newsletter. We both cracked up. Then she got quiet and said, I'm proud of you, you know, not just for blowing the whistle, for walking away. I nodded, suddenly emotional in that stupid, inconvenient way where your chest tightens and your nose stings, but you're trying not to cry in front of your little sister. It didn't feel brave, I said. Doesn't have to. Still counts, she said. The next morning, I found my dad sitting on the porch with his crossword puzzle and coffee. He didn't look up, just said, I still remember when you showed us Olivia's engagement photo. I sat down next to him. He passed me half his bagel without asking. Still warm, too much cream cheese, just how I like it. You looked so sure, he said, like you'd won the lottery. I thought I did. We all did. He didn't say it in a bitter way, just honest. Then he looked at me and said something I'll never forget. There's no shame in being wrong about someone. The shame's in letting it keep you from trusting anyone else ever again. We didn't say much after that. Didn't need to. Just two guys watching the sunrise and the neighbor's cat fight a squirrel in the driveway. I left that afternoon feeling lighter. Not fixed, not fully healed, but clearer. And when I got back to Oakland, things felt different. My apartment wasn't sad anymore. It was mine. The co-op was busy, chaotic, buzzing with people and ideas and late-night ramen orders. Tia was there, sitting cross-legged on the floor, doing inventory with a marker on her cheek and absolutely no awareness of it. She looked up and grinned. Hey, you good? Getting there, I said. You? Alive, caffeinated, in debt, the usual. You got marker on your face. Adds character. I grabbed a napkin and gently wiped it off. Thanks, Dad, she joked. Shut up. A few weeks later, we hosted our first public demo night. No VC pitching, no founder theater. Just members of the co-op showing off what they'd built. Ethical AI prototypes, mental health platforms, community-focused apps. One guy even made a Tamagotchi that tracks burnout levels and tells you to go touch grass. The vibe was electric. Not flashy, not fundraisy, just real. At the end, someone asked if I was going to speak. I hadn't planned on it, but people were clapping and nudging and looking at me like I owed them a sentence or two. So I got up there, cleared my throat, and said, "A year ago, I thought I lost everything. Job, reputation, future. Turns out, I just lost the wrong people. This I motioned to the room, this is the rebuild. And I wouldn't trade it for anything." They clapped. Tia gave me a look that said, "You still suck at public speaking and good job at the same time." And I walked off stage feeling proud. Not of the fall. Not even of the revenge. But of what came after. The quiet redemption. The kind that doesn't trend. The kind that doesn't need headlines. Just one human deciding to keep going even when the game tried to break them.